Hello. It's us again. Your pals. Not really your pals. We don't know you. Well, we know a couple of you. But it's us, Tod and Claire. Hi, Claire.
Hi.
And we're here to talk once again about H.P. Lovecraft. But not really. Not this
Harold
time.
Petraeus
Nope.
Lovecraft.
Absolutely wrong. It's Howard Phillips Lovecraft.
Henry Peterson Lovecraft.
But the story we're talking about today is not technically a Lovecraft story. It is written by Sonia H. Greene, who, you might recall, was Lovecraft's one-time wife.
So why does it say by H.P. Lovecraft and Sonia H. Greene?
Well, let me tell you. So this story, usually called The Horror at Martin's Beach, was originally first published in the November 1923 issue of Weird Tales under the title and author of The Invisible Monster by Sonia H. Greene. Now, did she write it? Yes, but Lovecraft edited and revised.
Got it.
I believe he's the one who changed the title to The Invisible Monster. Which
to The Horror at Martin's Beach?
No.
Oh.
It was originally, when she wrote it, it was The Horror at Martin's Beach. Then he retitled it for Weird Tales for The Invisible Monster.
Okay.
Later editions moved back to the original title
of
The Horror at Martin's Beach, which is a much better title.
Okay.
But yeah, she wrote it. This is one of two short stories that she's ever written, it looks like. She also wrote a story called 4 O'Clock that wasn't published until like the 40s in an August Derleth collection. But Sonia Greene was a force in literary circles. She was so I was trying to get some real titles for things that she actually published. If you go on Wikipedia or any biography of her, it says she bankrolled several fanzines. And I'm like, cool, which ones? No one knows. She did publish something called The Rainbow, and it was an amateur magazine around this time.
Yeah.
She met Lovecraft at an amateur writers convention in Boston in 1921. And so she was definitely around. And The Rainbow is called a very handsome publication because unlike other amateurs, she didn't do the lettering and the press work herself. She paid somebody.
Got it.
And so it looked really nice.
She had her own money.
She did. She was a rare, independently middle-class woman in New York. She had been married before, and her husband died by his own hand.
Oh, boy.
I know. So maybe she got some money out of that. Who knows? It's unclear. And then she married Lovecraft in 1922? No. She married Lovecraft in 1924. In March of 1924, and kind of all of a sudden. So they met in 1921. They had a correspondence because Lovecraft corresponded with everybody. Mm-hmm. And then one day, without any explanation to his friends or family, he booked it. He ran to the train station in Providence to get on a train to New York to marry Sonia the next day. And on the way, he lost the manuscript to her Under the Pyramids.
Okay.
Which he had ghostwritten for Harry Houdini. And so they spent their honeymoon retyping that.
So somebody found it.
Somebody found it in the Providence. Yeah, maybe someone has it, the original manuscript.
We don't have her letter to him that immediately preceded him running.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I never read his letters. It might be around somewhere. Yeah. She wrote an autobiography about her, and it was all about her time with Lovecraft. That was it. That was the only period she covered, and it's a short period. So they were married in March of 1924. In July of 1924, she left her job at this boutique fashion store in New York to start up her own hat shop. She was a milliner. That crumbled by December of 1924. She ran out of money and had to take another job in Ohio. So she left to Cincinnati in December or January. Things are unclear a little bit there, but in December or January of 1924, she left for Ohio, leaving Lovecraft behind in Brooklyn.
Okay.
which he hated. And we've gone into how much he hates Brooklyn in a prior episode in The Horror at Red Hook, which is basically all about his time in Red Hook. And then they got air quote divorced a couple years later, but it turns out Lovecraft never actually filed the papers.
That sounds like something he would do or not do.
But he left New York in 1926 after a couple of years, went back to Providence to live with his aunts. So that was their marriage. It was short. But hey, whatever. It happens. Happens to the best of us.
Exactly.
So that's the deal. So yes, this is a Lovecraft podcast. Lovecraft's hands are all over this work for sure. It now gets listed as by Sonia H. Greene and H.P. Lovecraft.
That makes
That's
sense.
why.
Okay.
So yeah, and I was making sure yesterday that I didn't already talk a bunch about Sonia Greene, and I didn't in the Red Hook episode. We talk about her a little bit, but not very much. And so now I think everything there is to know about her.
That's all that it was.
She married again in California. She moved to California eventually, married a third time.
Did he finally file the paperwork?
No, it was a bigamous marriage.
Okay. I mean, back then, there's no internet to check.
There's no internet, but then she found out that he died like 8 years after he died.
Okay.
Like she wasn't even aware that he had died. And at that point, she found out that she was still married to him. And this bothered her.
Did she inherit anything, or
no, it doesn't look like it.
So you get nothing. You lose.
That's funny.
So,
yeah, because now she's twice a widower,
mm-hmm.
or a widow, twice a widow.
Twice a widow.
Once,
and then
twice.
she outlived her third husband. And then moved to an old folks home in LA and died there sometime in the past. I want to say like late 70s or something.
Yeah, I bet she was fun.
She was probably a great lady. I mean, come on. She was like in New York in the Roaring 20s.
Being an independent
and being
woman
independently wealthy and hanging out with authors.
Yeah, well, and that doesn't sound like she was independently wealthy. She was
independently middle class.
Yes, she made a living.
She did have to have a job.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the horror at Martin's Beach. You want to talk about the story?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I do.
So let's go through it. So it starts with there is off screen. There is a battle with a sea monster aboard the Alma, captained by Captain Orn. And they bring the sea monster out of the ocean, and it's huge. It's like 50 feet long or whatever. And it's got one cyclopean eye, and it has fingers instead of fins, and it's really creepy and weird. And naturists are amazed. Mm-hmm. So Captain Orn, with his Yankee shrewdness, says, "I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a museum," and he did. And so he got a boat. And he turned the boat into a museum to display this thing. And
I've never seen King Kong. There's no way this could go wrong.
There's no way. You're right. It's basically King Kong. Well, I mean, the thing's dead. So so he's displaying it at Martin's Beach by the Wave Crest Inn. And so by the Wave Crest Inn at Martin's Beach, he's displaying this freak of nature to a willing public who can't wait to spend their 50 cents to go see it and hear the tale of how they captured it, I guess.
Yeah.
But then one night there's a storm, and the storm washes the boat out to sea, and along with like the one security guard, and never to be seen again.
Or so he claims.
Uh-huh.
Yes. He probably got caught drinking. The boat got washed out to sea, and he was like, "Oh, what happened to the security guard? What happened to the security guard? Oh my God, I don't know. I bet he went down with the ship.
Yep.
What a hero."
Mm-hmm. And end of Captain Orn's weird exhibition. So he's wrapping things up at the inn and settling all his bills, and then suddenly that night, there is a strange disturbance in the beach.
In the force.
And not in the force. There is an unknown force. however. But there is a strange disturbance, and it sounds like a cry, and there are lifeguards. And so the lifeguards are like, oh, we better save
This
whoever
is the
that is.
1920s version of Baywatch. Like 1920s, what's his face? I can't think of his name.
Michael Knight.
Yeah, what's
It's Michael Knight.
David
Hasselhoff.
Hasselhoff. I think I was like, David Copperfield? No,
Nope,
wait.
different.
David Hasselhoff.
Yeah. Yeah, so they throw out a floaty, they throw out a rope.
I love how that, like, wait, where is the description of the floaty? I just thought it, or the life saver, which is that that's what we call it,
I guess.
suppose.
Life preserver.
Life preserver. Thank you. I could not think of it. A lifesaver is the candy.
The fresh maker.
They just throw out a bunch of lifesavers down there.
Yeah.
They throw out an air cushion
Yes.
and a rope.
Yes.
And then the air cushion goes under and the rope goes under. And the lifeguards are holding onto the rope. And they're like, struggle, struggle, struggle. And they're like, hey, we could use some help. And then now there's like a ruckus,
Yeah.
right? And I also like to think that there's like some Gatsbyan kind of party going on.
Oh, probably.
And it's at night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because the moon is out and everything. And so, there's a Great Gatsby style party at the Wavecrest Inn, and all the, I say, Preston, we should get down there. And so that's what happens. So like a bunch of beachgoers and folks from the party.
Weren't you swimming champ at Harvard?
You rowed, didn't you? And so a bunch of other people go out, grab the rope, and they're pulling, and it's just getting harder and harder. The more, it's almost as if the more people who try to help, the harder it is to pull this thing in. And now Captain Oren is watching all this, and he's like, out of my way. Hold my bootleg cocktail.
Hold my peg leg.
And he toddles down there and he takes command, and he's like, bam, I'm on the rope now. And so then they're pulling, and they're like, well, this is not happening.
Yeah.
And they're getting like slowly pulled out to sea by this unknown force. And they're like, well, this isn't working out well. They're up to their hips or so in the ocean, and they're like, okay, well, I guess we'll call it a night. Not so fast. They have been hypnotized, and they can't get rid of the rope. They can't unhold it.
I was like, I was so glad when that came up, because I was getting really annoyed. I'm like, how long are these people going to do this? Like, at some point, you realize that you're just, whatever this is, it's just like a big old hunk of kelp that you're not going to get in.
Right.
But yeah, so that was.
Yeah, and by the way, this is alluded to in the very, very, very beginning of the story, because there's a mention of Professor Alton's article, "Are hypnotic powers confined to recognized humanity?"
Our hypnotic powers confined to recognized humanity. This made me think of, I don't know if I've told the story on the pod or not. I probably have mentioned it because it's just so funny, but it's the "Should we cook our meat" story of...
No, I've never heard this.
My law school friend Maureen, her mom was a middle school teacher, and I think she was like science teacher or something. So and there was this one kid. I can't. God, she was funny, Winnie. She was like, he was just the dumbest of the bunch, and I don't remember what his name was, but her thing was
probably
like,
for the best.
Yeah, exactly. He's probably listening. Yeah, he could be listening right now, but he doesn't know it's him. Probably doesn't think it's him. Yeah.
Well, unless
when
he
I say
did
this, but yeah, when I find
project.
out the project, she went to go look at his project, and it was entitled "Should We Cook Our Meat?" It wasn't like, "Why do we cook our meat?" or "How do we cook our meat?" "Should we cook our meat?" And she was like, I think his name was. Now that I remember it. So that was like whenever somebody asks some kind of just question that you're
ridiculous
like,
question.
Yeah, ridiculous question. This should
like, is hypnosis confined to recognized humanity?
Yes. Should we cook our meat? I don't know.
Well, and like all clickbait articles, the answer is no. So it turns out that the horror of Martin's Beach has cast a hypnotic spell on everyone who is touching this rope to continue holding this rope. And then it gets all ghastly. People are dragged slowly out to sea. Their eyes are bulging. People are now drowning, and it's terrible.
And the best part It was all the people standing there watching. Just
Meanwhile, Preston and Chesterfield and
this
Buffy.
is surely unfortunate.
Yes. Well, don't they? Yeah, one of them retires to their room in a panic.
Oh yeah.
Which
I mean, they're also
I don't know how you
hypnotized.
retire in a panic, but they somehow manage.
Well, you've never suffered from depression and anxiety. So
Okay.
that's actually what I was thinking. Was this story is like
Maybe it's about depression.
I don't know. I mean, that's what I don't know if I would, but it very much made me think of like a parable about depression.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, you're like, why I'm being dragged into this, but I can't let go.
Maybe it's a parable for Sonia's marriage to H.P. Lovecraft. I think we might have solved this riddle.
He's like, this is a wonderful story,
This is
Sonia.
great. It's terrible and horrible. And she's like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It is a story. It has nothing to do with our marriage. I think you've done it. I think you've done it again. You've cracked the code of Horror at Martin's Beach. I had never really heard of Horror at Martin's Beach because it's, I guess when I was looking at lists of Lovecraft stories, like this never popped up because on whatever list I was looking at didn't have it because it's Sonia Greene is the author.
Yeah.
So this is
Didn't
new to
someone
me.
recommend it? Or someone asked us to read it next, I think.
No, it was Nameless City was on request.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know why I picked this one. I think I just did it by word count.
It's very short.
It was short. Yeah, and so anyway, that's the story more or less. People are dragged out to sea. There's a whirlpool suddenly. There's some like distant laughing, and I think Captain Orin goes down. It doesn't. I don't think he escapes.
I'm sure he does. Sounds like everybody. There was no line of bobbing heads now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's what happens when you steal a giant
Well, and that's the thing, right? It's
squid's baby.
It's a baby. So they stole the baby, and then this is presumably the Jaws 2 of that story. It turns out Jaws was just the baby.
Yeah.
Spoilers, by the way.
No, my favorite one of the.
Or was it Jaws 3 where it turns out it's the mom?
I don't know, but it's the Jaws with Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
I'm Michael.
Where the shark follows them to the bombs.
Yeah. I think that's Jaws
to get
4.
To get his.
I don't think it's
probably.
3 because 3 is the 3D one.
Yeah, it's to get his. I can't think of what's his face.
It's to buy Michael Caine a house. Like that's the
he has said
purpose.
that. Yeah, exactly. No, but I'm thinking like, what was Roy Scheider's character's name in the in Jaws? I can't remember.
Brody.
Martin
that's Brody.
It. Okay, Martin Brody. That's it.
Yeah, so Brody's dead, but it's baby Brody.
Yeah,
who's down in the islands.
Yeah, so kills off baby Brody, I think, and then goes after his wife. I don't know, but I always just love that. It's like the shark. It's like, oh, they're getting on a plane going to the Bahamas. I better get moving.
Yeah, where's my passport?
It's like, swim.
One thing, quick side note: the name Orne, O-R-N-E, shows up
familiar.
Shows up more than once in Lovecraft stuff.
Yeah.
So there's 2 characters that are Orns that matter, and they are Simon Orne, who is the friend of the evil sorcerer in The Strange Case of Charles Dexter Ward, and he's from like the 17th century or something. And then there's also an Orne in the Marsh family tree in Shadow over Innsmouth.
Oh, okay.
And so, to me, I choose to believe that the Orns are intimately connected with the sea and sea monsters and deep ones and all that because of that. Because the story calls out his Yankee shrewdness, I think that puts him in New England. Like he's from New England, so he's probably of the Arkham Orns. Yeah, it would be my guess.
No,
whether or not he's related to the necromancer from the witch trials, don't know.
Come on. I mean, how many Orns are there going to be in one writer's universe?
So maybe, I don't know. how did you like the story? I have other things to talk about, but
I liked it.
I wanted to give you more
I
shouts to
liked
talk.
it. No, I mean, it's short. There's not a whole lot to
Yeah.
talk about. I had Should We Cook Our Meat was like
Yeah.
the number one thing that I came up. Yeah, I liked it. It's very simple.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And I was even thinking, it's like, wow, this doesn't really have a lot of subtext, but I think we discovered it. So, well, I wanted to know where Martin's Beach was, and so
yeah.
we can take a little
that's
trip
a good idea.
with the Lovecraft Travel Agency to go to Martin's Beach. So I have two candidates. Okay, so there is a Wave Crest Inn on Martin's Beach in Oregon. However,
Yes.
it does look like that the Wavecrest Inn was built shortly after this story was written.
Okay.
So I don't think that's it. But
Okay.
what I do think is that there's another Martin's Beach just south of Half Moon Bay in California.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the one I'm seeing.
And there is an inn there, the Watts Inn, which was fairly popular from like the early 20s. It said
Yeah.
it was popular. So it was built in like the 1910s or something. And Watts was the family that bought Martin's Beach, built the inn, and Martin's Beach has been the subject of a recent Supreme Court case where there's some asshole billionaire who
what?
bought it and wanted to make it private and lost
right.
all his court cases because
Yeah.
most to all beachfront property in California is public
Yep.
access.
Anything wet.
Yep.
Anything that gets wet.
So Martin's Beach looks lovely. I've seen some pictures of it. It's got, and it could be, right? It could definitely be, especially since Sonia later moved to California.
Yeah.
She might already be familiar with Martin's Beach, whatever.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It was bought by this billionaire, Vinod something, and he didn't try to permit anything. He just put up a fence and said no
Oh,
trespassing.
yeah.
And
He hacked it.
yeah,
He disrupted
did
the
it.
economy.
yeah, that's right. Now,
Which just means busting in and being an asshole and doing everything, doing whatever you want without thinking of the
and so
consequences.
everyone hates him for this. This is a big popular surfing spot. It has been for generations. And, most of the good coverage I found on this is from some surf magazine. And I'll have links in the show notes for this.
You do not want to piss off local surfers.
No. So they're like, hey, give us our beach back. And so years and years pass with this fight. It gets to Supreme Court. Supreme Court refuses to hear the case, which basically means the state wins.
Yeah.
And they will... And this was in 2018. So the beach is now open, and now you can go to Martin's Beach, from what I understand. Here's the twist. What if the billionaire is the good guy? What if he's closing the beach because he knows about the monster that lives out there?
I feel like you would just put up something being like, toxic waste, toxic algae or something.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just not very...
He's just lazy.
It's just lazy.
He's lazily trying to save people
He's like,
from getting devoured
"I'm not
by
gonna
the
try
invisible
this
monster.
hard."
I mean, he's a billionaire. He's got other things to do.
Yeah, that's true.
And he never lived there, which is the other thing. It's not like any of these other assholes that try to close off beaches because they have the house and they
Yeah.
don't want to see the proles out on their beach.
Oh, yeah.
Not him.
Nope.
He never lived there. He just wanted to close it
be
off.
Mr. Burns.
So that's what I'm thinking, that
Yeah.
this person is a unsung savior. And maybe the danger has passed. Maybe it only comes up every 76 years or something, some weird period like Halley's Comet. And so now that 2018 and now it's 2020, 2022, oh, the monster's gone. You can have your beach back for now. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I choose to believe.
Okay, I like it.
We were just at Half Moon Bay this last
Yeah.
summer,
Yeah,
I
it was
guess,
beautiful.
right? And it was delightful, and kids wanted to run out into the ocean at one point, I think, and
Luckily, it was cold enough.
it was cold.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's horror at Martin's Beach. Do you have anything else you want to talk about with this?
No.
Cool, because I have some mail.
Okay,
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. You have to prepare your body for this.
Okay. How? How
Well,
do I do that?
just find your center,
Okay.
align your chakras, and enjoy this bit of fan mail that we
Okay.
got from Lord Samuel Hall,
Whoa.
entitled, subject line, 5 out of 5 elder signs.
Wait, is that good or bad?
I don't know. Dear Tod and Claire, your banter sublime, in Podsothoth, a podcast so prime. The wit and humor that you both share, a cosmic dance, a duo so rare. Your words, a melody, like sweet song, in each episode I'm carried along. The banter's magic, the joyous spree, entwining laughter and curiosity. Necronomicon, a cosmic delight, the prospect beckons, a captivating sight. I yearn to join, to share in the lore, to witness wonders and learn even more. Your podcast charm, a constant friend, a cosmic journey from start to end. In iambic pentameter, this I convey, excited to meet you on Necronomicon Day.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you. Thank you, Lord Hall.
Yes, and assuming we meet you, I'm definitely going to refer to you as my lord, sir.
That was nice.
That was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my only quibble with that is constant friend. We're pretty inconstant in
We
terms
are
of releasing.
inconstant like the moon.
I would say we're like Gandalf. We just release.
The podcast is always on time.
Yes.
A podcaster is never late. Yeah, and one of the reasons why this podcast has gotten even slower is because we have another podcast.
Oh, yes.
And we should tell people about it.
That's right.
It is Hot for Teacher, Greatest American Hero Watch Party. And you can find it on the internet at hotforteacher.tv. Hotforteacher.tv to get all your RSS feeds. And it's pretty fun.
Hotshop.biz.
Nope, that's a different podcast altogether. But I guess you should shop there too. We have no merch yet. Yeah, we talk about The Greatest American Hero, the TV series that ran from 1981 to 1983. We have covered the first episode in 2 parts.
The pilot.
The pilot, because it's often aired as pilot part 1 and pilot part 2. So check it out. If you like this, you might like that. If you like this, you can find us at one more time, podsothoth.club, because we're a book club.
Not a TV show.
We're not a TV watch party. Podsothoth.club. You can write to us at hideous@podsothoth.club or hit us up on Mastodon. Just search for Podsothoth and you'll find it.
The bar has been raised, though, for people writing in. I mean,
Really does.
yeah,
Now,
that was
no shade on Lord Samuel Hall at all. I think it's great. I'm very touched. I'm very happy.
yeah.
Was it written by ChatGPT? We may never know.
No, of course
we may
not.
never know.
No, Todd's only suspicious because he uses ChatGPT for everything.
I do a lot of writing with Chat. I do a lot of writing with
He's
ChatGPT.
doing air quotes. Yeah.
Mostly boring stuff.
Not everyone relies on ChatGPT.
Not everyone is
really.
immediately farming out all their creative endeavor to ChatGPT. Probably not. So write to us if you like the podcast, rate and subscribe or whatever the hell you do in whatever your podcast of app choice is. 5-star ratings are great, or 5 elder signs, as Lord Hall says.
Nice.
Just pretend they're elder signs, and then you can can feel like creepy and dark and mysterious when you do it.
Goth.
And super goth. But other than that, I think we're done, and I'm looking forward to going to the beach again. This makes me want to go back to the beach.
Yeah.
Go to the beach.
I know. Let's go get away. Now I want. No, okay. Now I need somebody to rewrite the lyrics to Starship for Lovecraft
Martin's
style.
Beach.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, that's it. The dog is going bananas outside, so we'll let
She
her
ran
in.
out of treats, or she ran out of ways to find the treats
Yes.
in the treat hiding box.
So with that, we'll bid you adieu.
Adieu.
And I have no idea what I'm going to read next. Probably something short. I keep threatening Rats in the Walls, and I want to read Rats in the Walls.
Yeah, we got to do that,
Yeah.
but then also like talk about Wolves in the Walls.
And talk about Wolves. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
don't ruin it anymore, Claire.
All right. Okay. All right.
All right. Later on.
Love you guys.
Not really. Not really, though.
Love you, mean that.